Hi, this is Emmanuel. Welcome to my channel, Zero to Cybersecurity. In this video, I'm going to show a tutorial on C#. I'll pretty much focus on language integrated query, which is LINQ, and I'll show the potential advantages on using LINQ in C#. So I'm gonna roll on and show the practical stuff. So keep watching. I promise this project is going to be simple and concise. So I open my command prompt and I just typed dir/i/o, and it's going to list all my file directory on my Windows operating system. So the project is pretty much going to sort the directory folders in ascending order. So it's going to use their bytes. So the one with the biggest byte is going to be on the top and the smallest byte is going to be at the bottom. My project is going to be named LINQ Test 1 and I created in Visual Studio. So I just click create. It's just a console app and it's just going to launch. So this is the default setup in Visual Studio. I'll just take off the console right line out and I'm just going to implement my own method. My method is going to be called show large files, and I'm going to pass in a path, and I have to declare and implement my method. I'll hit Control dot and implement my method, and I'm just going to declare the path on the top, and it's going to be a string path, and it's a string, so I'm just gonna give it assign it to the specific path or the location I want, and it's pretty much going to be a C on my C folder. Then I'll go one deeper, which is in my Windows. So that is the path. So in my private method, which is show large files, I'll pass in the string path, and I'll come into my method and implement whatever I need to. So I'm just gonna use an inbuilt using system.io, and I implemented and I included in my project by using system.io. So it's going to be directory info, and the property is going to be a directory, and I just create a new object using the new keyword. Then I pass in the path. So file info 2 is an inbuilt by Visual Studio, and that pretty much I'm gonna make it an array, and the property is going to be a files. So I created an array of files, and I use my directory.getFiles. GetFiles is also an inbuilt method from C#. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop over the files. So I have file in, I'll use for each file in files. Then I'm going to loop through. And just write all the files on their console, and I'm just gonna write it in, it's gonna be a string, but I'm just gonna use $sign, then the file name and the file length. Pretty much I'll use colon to separate it. So this is going to list all the files in their Windows directory. So that is it. It's going to loop through and list all the files in the Windows directory. This is pretty simple. And the path is a local variable there. and I just pass it into my private method, which is show large file, which is implemented right below the static main. So the main method is going to call the show large files. When it executes and reach there, it's going to come to the private static void show large files, and it's going to pass in the C:/Windows as my path, and it will come into it and it will set the directory to a new directory, which is a new object. Then I'll use the file info like the array. So the files is an array of files, and the file is going to loop over those and it just execute. So we're gonna run it and see what we're gonna get. It's executing. So as you can see, we have the file and the length, which is in bytes. So now we have all the files in that directory, in the C directory, and I'm gonna bring the one I had on my command prompt there. So it's different mainly because in my command prompt I use I was in the users email folder, whilst in the Visual Studio I am in the Windows folder. But as you can see, there are all directories there. So what I'm going to do is I want to sort the files in the Windows directory in ascending order depending on the length or the bytes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a class which is pretty much going to do the comparison and the sorting. So I create a public class. So what I'm doing now is I'm coding without using LINQ. So I want to see how efficient that can be. So without using LINQ, I just have to go through, create a method and do all these procedures, you know. But when we get to LINQ, you will see how less complicated that can be, you know. So we create public class, and that is just going to take care of our comparison for us. File info comparer and I comparer, a list of file info. Then we use system generic collection. You have to implement the interface. You hit on it and you hit control dots and we implement the interface of the compare, and it takes in file info x and file info y. So it compares the length of x to the length of y and it just sorts them. So that is what it's going to do. So that when that gets called, it's going to return the length of y compared to the length of x. So then we just declare, we're going to declare array, and we have an inbuilt sort file. So we pass in our files. In the object new file info comparer. So the sort is the method responsible for sorting their files in the directory. So we're gonna run it and see the results we're gonna get. Compile and run, and we're gonna bring the console. As you can see, the biggest file is explorer.executable, which is 44139, and the lowest one is setup.log, which is 0. So we arrange it like in ascending order. The biggest one at the top. No, it's pretty much descending instead. So the biggest at the top and the smallest at the bottom. So yeah. what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to the windows, and that we can know and compare all the files pretty much nicely. Yeah, so in my command prompt I do cd into the windows, and as you can see, all the files are exactly the same, and now we can compare whatever is in my command prompt to whatever my code executed. So as you can see, we have explorer.executable, and we have RTLEX appd.dll. so they have the biggest byte, and in my command prompt is arranged in ascending order, the smallest at the top and the biggest at the bottom. But my program I'm coding is technically doing the vice versa of it. So we were able to accomplish that. We arranged our files in descending order. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just list the first 5 biggest file in the Windows C directory. So I'm going to do that with the for loop. And the for loop is pretty familiar to a lot of people. So I just declare a variable v and set it to 0, and I'll just do v is less than 5, so it's going to execute until it's less than 5. When it's equals to 5, it's just going to stop executing. So from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 5 times, so it's going to run 5 times. Then I'll just do v++. Then I set the file to files v, array of v, then I run it. So as you can see, we have the first 5 biggest byte in mine. So we have Explorer, help, and the rest. That is the first biggest. We can also get the biggest file in the Windows directory, and all what we got to do is pretty much yeah, I'm going to make it how it displays pretty neat and nice, because it's hard to read apparently. So that is what I'm just doing. It runs and you can see, oh no, so it's just pretty not nice. I have to take off the ending zeros. And I just have to change the 9 to 0. That's it, and it's gonna take care of that. And run it, and you can see now it's easy to read, and it's easy to tell that the Explorer is 4,413,936 and the rest. So we're just going to get the biggest file. We run it, and I bet it's going to be the Explorer because that one is the biggest. Yep, and that is the biggest file. And in the command prompt, explorer.s executable is the biggest. So something that we can accomplish in the command prompt, we are just writing a simple code to just accomplish that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. I'm going to implement the same thing using a LINQ language integration query, and we're going to see how simple that is going to be. I create my new method, show files using LINQ, and I pass in the same path, and I hit control dots to implement the method, and it's going to be a private method. So then I just pass in as an argument, or the prototype is going to be the string path. I declare a variable largest file, and what I'm going to do is LINQ query, which is from file in new directory path, and the directory is using the system.io. It's an inbuilt header file. Then I just use an inbuilt method, which is get files, which is going to get all the files in the directory, and I'm just going to order by the file length. So everything is just going to save, or is going to be assigned into the largest file. So then I just select the file. I have an error there. I have to sort that error, and I'll come down to read what the error means. So these are all the complications we run into as a coder. No one will tell you, oh, I develop code, or I am a programmer and I don't encounter any problem. You will encounter a problem. So what you got to do is you have to be patient and just have to do more research. So I'm just going to copy the error and come onto my Windows browser, paste it there, and just see why it's giving me that type of error, and read it, and probably I can find a solution online. Maybe someone have run into that error before. So I read, and Stack Overflow is the greatest tool out there for coders. So I think someone solved it, and the person said, oh yeah, you are just missing a directory, and it's using system.link. So I'll come to Windows, the official website, and read about it, and I'll just be like, okay, before you can use the LINQ queries, you have to implement this directive, which is using system.link, and I'll copy that, come into my code, and I'll just paste it, and then I have using system.link. So now the error is gone. So I'm just going to for each loop over the largest file and just print them out. Create a variable file in a loop over the largest file, and I'm just going to print it out. I forgot I changed the name of the file to X, but I think it makes sense to change it back to file. So I'm just gonna copy this same console.write line and paste it in the for each. So what we are going to do is pretty much get the first. You're just going to take the first 5 biggest file using LINQ. And it's running, and that is the first biggest 5 files there. I'm gonna bring the command. Let's close it, and we can take their. So we're gonna compare. So with LINQ and without LINQ, and you can see what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna divide that so that it will be obvious for you to see. just console.write line asterisk or like slash. Yeah, in between them. So the first 5 is going to be without LINQ, and the second one is going to be with LINQ, and it's going to yield the same output, the same results, as you can see. The most efficient way to go with this, to me, I recommend using the LINQ path, because with the LINQ path you can see how simple it was just to implement everything in one method, and as compared to the without the LINQ, you just have to code like 2 methods and a class, 1 method and a class, and it's just a little bit complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refactor the code, and it's just going to remain only the LINQ, and you will see how simple the code will look. So I'll advise you to use the LINQ in your code, and that will give you like more efficient, and your code is going to be more readable too. So that is it. That is with LINQ. We just have one method, and we just loop over it, and we just write all the files there. So it's simple and pretty concise, and we can get the largest file. Just run it, and the largest file is the same as plural, so it's going to yield the same results. So but the path you want to go with depends on you, what you think is. But I just feel like as a software engineer, a lot of the job environment, we have a coding standard like they want you to follow like that, and we use pretty much LINQ. So I'm going to get the first 20 files, and you can see now it increased the size, and the same file is arranged in descending order. I'm gonna get like the first 50, and why not, just for fun. And you can see, I'm not sure it's the files there are up to 50, but I just listed everything up there. And now we have the same thing, and it's easy to compare. So we're gonna do it in ascending order now, and now it's going to be more easy to compare with what we got from the command line and what we got from the Visual Studio. And yes, Explorer, Airplane Pro. And that will be all for this video. If you really like the video, hit the like button, and thank you for your time.